I was definitely lost. Complete lost boy. And some of my friends still are. I was an absolute self-destructive, self-loathing mess. Running around, not thinking about any of the consequences of my actions. And suffering. I honestly believed that I was built to suffer, and that might have been my purpose in life.
I love you, my brother. You had a rough time like us all. Have you noticed Stevie getting bitter whilst he builds his tiny walls?
What we know is that in our communities there are a group of young men who have led lives that up until now have not been successful.
I don't know why there's so many fuck-ups about, but we're about.
I was in play school, you know, putting ant poison in kids' sandwiches, you know, and setting my mum's house on fire when I was about 7 or 8. Put my little brother right next to the fire, going to bed.
My life before Bandits Brothers, it was mess. Like going out on the street, selling drugs, going out with bad friends.
I was up in court, obviously before Bandit Brothers, and I was facing, I think it was 5 years in jail. So I was up for ABH with intent.
I don't know, I just went down the wrong path. I got involved with gangs and people with knives and guns, and
I wasn't centered. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just taking every day as it comes.
Fear's probably a good one for me. Fear of what am I doing? Like, what's the point really of going day by day and watching the world burn?
I was drinking a lot at one point, like partying and just drinking every day and teething drinks, so it's all free, so you drink more. And then one day I thought, shit, I'm turning into my dad.
Didn't really know my father, so I didn't know how to be a man.
Yeah, it was really strange to think that my family home before going into care was a squat, just a place for like-minded youths to just get pilled up and just waste away.
My dad was abusive. He kicked me out when I was 14, and yeah, no, it was just an abusive relationship with him, sexual, physical, mental, everything.
After my father abandoned me, I was just alone with my mother, taking care of her disabilities, trying to deal with my own. And just for about 7 or 8 years after I left college was just isolation, alone in my room, sitting there, going through things that I didn't know how to cope with, going through depression, going through serious bouts where I wanted to die.
He said, because I don't think you'll ever make it to 18, he goes, if you do, I'll kill you myself.
I saw a fucking monster who was gonna destroy everything. And on hindsight, I see just the fucking child in my dad trapped. And his dad didn't give him that nurture, that love he needed.
You know, I don't think anyone ever actually sat me down and asked why I was angry. The doctor's solutions throughout my childhood was medication.
Yeah, I was just an addict really, smoking too much, and you know, I was worried about when my next spliff would be.
I was quite happy to spend a few years inside, get out, have a fight, rob someone and go back for a few more years. That was my life. That was what I was happy doing.
You don't shine quite so bright, a diamond lost in the sands of time. We don't know why you've gone, so please come home before the dawn.
There were quite a few times I wanted to take my own life. I think the count is 28 times, 28 attempts.
What we are doing and why we feel we need to exist is to address the gap in how can we enable these young men, regardless of what's happened so far in their lives, to turn it around and to feel like they are a contributing part of a society that welcomes and includes them. So Band of Brothers started in Brighton in 2009, and it's the ultimate in a grassroots community-led organisation.
There were a group of men in my loft, and we decided that it was time to have a mission beyond serving ourselves and each other's mission. So we started looking out, and we had the idea to work with young men, local young men, lost, involved in crime, homelessness, and work with them in such a way that they might have some kind of stability and connection with older men, so that they might find a little bit of direction in their lives, find themselves really.
And so we set off on a journey, and we committed to making it happen.
So I was one of the first men of First Ever Quest. I went to prison and contacted me after I got out, so I was like, yeah, okay, why not? And that's when he introduced me to a man from the Band of Brothers. And they said what their plans were and what they want to do, and I was just like, okay, well, let's see if you can help me. If not, then I'll take my own life.
We're offering them a call to adventure. And what we do with them is we acknowledge what we believe are society's failures in not having been able to find a place for them in society thus far. And we call them to adventure by saying that we acknowledge that. And if you want your life to be different, only you are going to make that happen. So, are you in?
I remember the first thing I said to them, what have you been through and what's your struggles? And they just gave me the list. And I was like, with open arms, okay, let's do this thing.
It's seeing these people who want to help you, but for once they'll open up to you.
I checked it out, and then yeah, it was good, positive stuff. And I was like, alright, cool, I'll stick with it.
I didn't know myself, subconsciously something inside of me knew that I needed this. I desperately needed this.
I was supposed to go on the quest and I didn't go. Fobbed it off. A lot of people do that. Just shit themselves and get wasted instead. And that's pretty much what happened. And I got a phone call like, oh right, you're not gonna make it, that's okay, that's cool. Just have a look at the website or something like that. And I had a look at the website and stole half the words and made this song.
Well, let's go hunting, my brother, for a better way to see. No trouble with the long arms, so why they chasing you and me? Why they chasing you and me?
When I was sitting in the holding area waiting to go in, I was very anxious, very itching to go, really. I just wanted to know what was next.
You have two choices. You can take this or you can take that. It's up to you. I've been waiting for this choice to decide what I want. And if I go this way, they tell me that there's something down there. I'm going.
I thought, you know, I'm going to give it a go and see what it's like. So I did, and I stepped into the unknown, and it was good. It was crazy. It was nuts.
If I didn't, I would have been cheating myself out of it. The weekend would have been for no reason, and I was just sick of my life before that weekend.
They attend the Rites of Passage weekend, and that is the hardest hitting, most intense experience that these young men have often had ever in their lives. The 10 of them find themselves surrounded by 30 men who are there from their community as volunteers. 30 men. And they use that weekend to really look at the narrative of their lives, the story they tell themselves about who they are and what's possible. We do some emotional catharsis work, enabling them to look at difficult emotions, difficult situations that they found themselves in their life.
There was this rock we had to throw in anger on the floor. Yeah, that brought out quite a lot on me. I had to go and sit on my own for a couple of hours and like just reevaluate everything, you know what I mean?
That when we come through, we think we're the most scariest one there. Like, if we lose the plot, we're actually going to hurt you all. And that just shows how scared we are of getting angry.
We deal with all of that trauma and anger. And that's what it means to be, that's true masculinity. It's within us, that rage, that power, that energy. You can't put that in a box, and you can't hold things in because it's gonna eat you from inside.
Anger gets them into a lot of trouble and creates a lot of shame inside of their systems. So a lot of our work is trying to unpick the connection between healthy anger and shame-induced or shame-infused anger.
It was truly freeing, and I felt so in control of my anger in a way that was healthy and real.
Because if I don't know it and let it increase and increase and increase, suddenly it's going to flood me and I'm going to do something stupid. So we really encourage young men to know that anger.
So I see what I'm about is being able to give back and support and enable someone else to maybe have an easier journey than I've had in my life.
And we enable them through looking at their past to start visioning and thinking about a future that looks very, very different.
So we have a saying in a band of brothers: hurt people, hurt people. And what we've seen and what we know and have come to see as truth is that a young man who feels good about himself, who fundamentally is connected to a sense of worth, a sense of belonging and a sense of purpose, he doesn't want to go out and get involved in crime. He's not going to rob your car or attempt to rob your house. He wants to go out and make something of his life. He wants to leave his mark on the world. He wants to contribute. Dare I say it, he even wants to give something back.
Hurt people who hurt people and war with themselves. Just give away your toys before they melt into bullets.
Each man, each older man who steps up will inevitably be challenged to do their own work.
We, as a community of men, recognise that all of us are wounded. All of us have our own issues. All of us are struggling to answer the big questions of life of who am I really? What should I do with my life? And is there really any meaning or purpose?
We few. We happy few. We band of brothers and sisters, we riskers of life and limb, or at the very least of our pockets, our wallets, or our popular social standing for all that we believe in. We stand together.
And we engage in those questions with the young men. We're not professionals that are working with an object called the client, trying to elicit change in it. We're involved on a journey together.
I failed ultra magnificently. I've put myself up there, you know, and crushed fucking shitty fucking badly, you know. And that's painful, if you want the truth, that's painful. And I'm 53. don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that I can't fail, but I don't have the luxury of being able to fuck up in the way that I fucked up before again.
Seeing other guys show their vulnerability, it makes it easier to express yourself, to express myself. Yeah.
I was experiencing thoughts of suicide. I'd been rehearsing my own suicide for a number of weeks prior to doing my own initiation. And it was through doing my initiation that I let those thoughts go.
We did a few processes and I realised that actually, although I was quite confident around men, I'd never felt safe with men, and I'd always been in competition with every man. One, I mistrusted men, and two, I actually was quite scared of being truly open with men.
So I did that weekend and I went, actually, yeah, this is what I've always needed, is strong and powerful men who can hold me in my vulnerability, who can hold me in my rage. So I went absolutely ballistic. Well, I was so angry as a 36-year-old man about how I'd been treated as a child.
I realised in all my life, I never knew what it's like to be centred. Until the Band of Brothers, I went on that weekend. I was able to see it when it being reenacted, what you needed to do to start bringing about some healing to myself.
When you go on the quest, It's more you're gonna discover yourself, like what kind of person you are.
I choose what I want to do. I choose the life I want to live.
At the end of the carpet work, I was standing tall. I was standing proudly as a man. I was like, yeah. And that felt really good.
The relationships of trust that have been created between the older men and the younger men are then solid, because we've all been through that experience together. We've broken down barriers together. We've had the courageous conversations. We might have laughed together, cried together, like shouted together, like being together in that process means that we break down those barriers and we create that relationship of trust that then means that we can do the work that needs to be done.
You feel a man within that brotherhood. It's powerful.
I didn't want to leave. I just genuinely didn't want to. It was something else in which, if it could be prescribed, it can be prescribed. It's just a matter of that leap of faith.
It's time to rise and shine and walk a straight line. Get off the floor and open the door and throw away those feelings before. You know what you gotta do. You gotta make it through. I know it hurts, so don't get worse. Tomorrow will come and you'll see the sun. Whoa.
And it just makes me feel just really lucky to have this.
So we offer the young men something which they might not have ever had before. It was actually a trusting, authentic relationship. And once they've got that, they've got a community. And once they've got a community, they've got something to lose if they go into prison.
They then have a 12-week process of meeting with their mentor once a week. They attend weekly meetings in the community. We support and coach them on achieving the goals that they've set for themselves in their life, whether it's getting a job, whether it's improving the relationships that they have with key people in their lives, whether it's dealing with a habit or a pattern of behaviour that they want to change.
You know, I decided to give up weed, I decided to give up tobacco because I was sick of it. It wasn't the Band of Brothers, but they helped me through it, through the struggle of addiction.
And at the end of the 12 weeks, we have a graduation ceremony for them, a homecoming celebration, where we invite the community to welcome them back as new men.
Delighted to accept the invitation to go to a Band of Brothers homecoming, I think one of the first in Crawley. And it was a very moving evening and really reinforced for me the real sort of worth that a Band of Brothers has for young people in Crawley and many other parts of the country as well.
And without groups like Band of Brothers, you know, I simply don't see how our community can overcome some of the challenges that we have at the moment. These are the sorts of organisations and these are the kind of groups which are going to help our community heal from an incredibly difficult period in our community's life.
And I've worked with some of the, on paper, some of the most dangerous, violent, screwed up young men in our communities. At the core of every single one of them, without a question, is a very wounded, hurt young person who just needed to be heard.
So in terms of measuring our success, one of the key indicators is whether these young men go on to reoffend. And what we've seen is a self-reported 80% drop in frequency of offending after a Band of Brothers programme. We've seen young men go into sustainable employment. We've seen young men turn around relationships that they never thought they would be able to turn around. We've seen some remarkable achievements of men dealing with deeply ingrained patterns of addiction and behaviour. We've had over 90,000 hours of volunteer time so far committed to a Band of Brothers in the 6 communities that we operate in. What we believe that we're proving is that men are a huge untapped resource that can start to tackle some of society's most difficult problems.
It's one of the very few places in this country where you won't get judged.
I don't get in trouble no more. I haven't been arrested since starting Band of Brothers.
I never thought I would get a girlfriend, and I've been with her for like 8 months now.
Got a job, got a career, got a car, got an agent. Things are good, man. Things are the best they've ever been.
But I wish I'd known about Band of Brothers a long time before, because I think I would have saved myself at least 6-7 years in prison.
Yeah, I feel accepted.